Your math teacher taught you how to solve quadratic equations. Your history teacher told you about the fall of the Roman Empire. Your literature teacher made you read Dostoevsky. But no one, absolutely no one, explained the difference between an asset and a liability. You finished school, maybe university, got a diploma, and went out into the world not understanding the most basic principle of money. The principle that separates those who work for money from those whose money works for them. Robert Kiyosaki, author of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which sold over 40 million copies, grew up in a strange situation. He had two fathers. His biological father, highly educated with a PhD, the head of education in Hawaii, and his best friend's father, a man who barely finished school but owned an empire of businesses. One gave him advice: study hard, find a stable job, save money in the bank. The other said, school teaches you to work for money. I will teach you how to make money work for you. One died, leaving debts. The other became one of the richest men in Hawaii. The difference between them was not in intelligence, not in effort, not even in luck. The difference was in understanding one simple equation: what school doesn't teach about money. The educational system prepares us to be employees. This is not a conspiracy. It is simply a historical fact. The system was created in the era of industrialization. Factories needed obedient, disciplined workers capable of following instructions. People who show up at 8 in the morning, do what they are told, and leave at 5 in the evening. School prepares you for this perfectly. Sit quietly, listen to the teacher, memorize information, pass the exam, get a grade. But here is what school doesn't teach: how to create value, how to think entrepreneurially, how to manage risks, how to use money as a tool, and most critically, it doesn't teach how to distinguish assets from liabilities. Most people think they know the difference. Ask anyone, what is an asset? They will say a house, a car, education, expensive watches, and they will be wrong. Kiyosaki gives an extremely simple definition that flips conventional thinking. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. That's it. Nothing else matters. Not what it's called, not how much it costs, not how it looks on an accountant's balance sheet. The only question is, does it bring you money or take it away? Now, let's apply this definition to the assets people buy. The house you live in, liability. Every month you pay the mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs. Money leaves your pocket. Car, liability. Gas, insurance, maintenance, depreciation. Money leaves. Expensive clothes, gadgets, furniture, liabilities. All of this takes money out of your pocket and returns nothing. But the house is growing in value, you will say. Maybe, but while you live in it and don't sell it, it doesn't put money in your pocket. It takes it away. And now, real assets. An apartment you rent out. Every month the tenant pays you. Money goes in your pocket. A business that runs without your constant participation. It generates income. Money in pocket. Stocks that pay dividends. Bonds that pay interest. Copyrights to a book that sells. A patent for an invention. All these are assets because they work for you. Here is what happens to most people. They study, find a job, start earning, and the first thing they do is buy liabilities thinking they are assets. They take a mortgage on a big house. It's an investment, they say. They buy a new car on credit. I need a reliable car for work. They furnish the house with expensive furniture. I deserve this. And so they're in a trap. Their expenses grow proportional to their income, or even faster. They get a raise, more money, great. Now they can afford an even bigger house, an even more expensive car, another loan. Kiyosaki calls this the rat race. You run faster and faster, but stay in the same place, because every increase in income is eaten up by an increase in expenses on liabilities. Look at the statistics. Most people earning $100,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck because they have expenses of $95,000. Now compare this with a person who earns $50,000 but spends $30,000 and invests those $30,000 in assets. In 10 years, who will be wealthier? The one whose assets work for him. Because while the first one is still exchanging time for money, the second one is receiving money while sleeping. Kiyosaki developed his idea into the concept of 4 quadrants. There are 4 ways to earn money.
Quadrant E, employee. You exchange time for money. Work 8 hours, get a salary. Don't work, don't get paid. Your income is directly tied to your time. Quadrant S, self-employed. You still exchange time for money, but you work for yourself. Doctors, lawyers, freelancers. More control, but the same problem. If you don't work, you don't earn. Quadrant B, business owner. You own a system that works without you. You have a team, processes, automation. The business brings in money even when you are on vacation. Quadrant I, investor. Money works for you. You invest capital in assets that generate income. Real estate, stocks, businesses. Most people are stuck in quadrants E and S. They exchange time for money, and that is the ceiling, because time has a limit. The rich live in quadrants B and I. They created systems and assets that work for them. School prepares us to be employees or self-employed. No one teaches how to make money work for you. Kiyosaki provokes with a harsh statement. The poor work for money. The rich make money work for themselves. But here's the key. It's not about how much you earn. It's about what you do with what you earn. You can earn $1 million and be bankrupt. You can earn $50,000 and slowly build wealth. The difference is in financial literacy, in understanding how money works. Taxes, debt, investments, assets, liabilities, cash flow, capitalization. These words scare most people because they weren't taught in school. But the rich teach this to their children at the dinner table. While the middle class tells children study hard, the rich say, here is how the balance of assets and liabilities works. One family raises workers, the other investors. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. You don't need to become an entrepreneur if it's not for you, but you can start thinking differently. Every time you receive money, ask yourself, will I buy an asset or a liability? A new phone for $1,000? Liability. It won't return your money. Stocks that pay dividends? Asset. They will bring income year after year. A course that teaches you a new skill people will pay for? Asset. It will increase your ability to earn. Start small. $100 a month into an index fund. $200 into learning a skill that can be monetized. The goal is not to get rich quick. The goal is to build a habit. Pay yourself first by investing in assets, not spending everything on liabilities. Over time, the asset column grows, and the moment comes when the income from assets exceeds your expenses. Kiyosaki calls this financial freedom. It doesn't mean being rich. It means you can live without exchanging time for money. Robert Kiyosaki had 2 fathers, both smart, both hardworking, both wanted the best for their children, but one taught him to play by the rules of the system, the other taught him to understand the system itself. One said, I can't afford it. The other asked, how can I afford it? One saw risk everywhere. The other saw opportunities. Your life in 10 years is determined by the decisions you make with money today. Every paycheck is a choice, asset or liability. Work for money or make money work for you. School didn't teach you this, but now you know. Question in the comments, What is the first asset you are going to acquire this month? What will start putting money in your pocket?